Hello and welcome in everyone. Brian again with another Contractor Foreman training video. We're going to talk forms and checklists today. So let's head over there first by opening up our main menu and going to forms and checklists. When we land on the forms and checklist page, we've got three widgets up here at the top, giving us a little bit of information. We've got our recently submitted forms. We'll see that populate once we've submitted a form later on in this video. I've got my recent forms. These are just forms that I've currently have created. So you can see there's a site housekeeping form down here under my used forms, and that's populating here in my recent forms. Okay. And over to the right are my favorite forms. So this is an area that I can populate with forms that I'm going to use all the time. We can jump in and take a look at adding our favorite forms here by first jumping down and utilizing our table down here. So we start on the used forms tab on the left. And these are all the forms again that I've already created. They're kind of pending forms at this point. When I click on my company forms button, this is going to give me a couple lists that I can access now. So company forms, the first list that you're going to see is the all list. So denoted right here by this button. These are all of the templates that Contractor Foreman starts me out with. So these are forms that I can build off of. If I click my company button, these are the forms that I've populated for myself to start utilizing now. Okay. We'll talk about how to populate these forms in just a second. But from this list, this is where I can take any of these forms that I'm going to use all the time, and I can click on my action button and favorite that form. That's going to put that form up here on my favorites list where I can now quickly access this form and use my use form button to start filling it out. So we've just got a quick office housekeeping form, very simple form for us to fill out just to make sure we're keeping the office tidy. First thing I'll do, select a project. I have a list of all of my projects up here, but you have some pre-populated like generic projects to associate this form with something that isn't an actual customer job. So I'll select my office there. I can assign this to somebody who's working inside of the office. So let's get John. And then over on the right, I have a status. I'm going to leave the status as draft because I want John to fill this out while we're all working in the field. John's been taking care of a lot of the office work. So I have these questions down here arranged for him to fill out to make sure that the place is staying tidy for everybody. Now that I've got this form constructed, if I click my save button, that creates the form for me to start utilizing. I can come back here and edit the form if I need to. I can come down to my messaging options and message John to fill out this form. So when John logs in and heads over to the forms and checklist area, he can look at his recent forms and he can see the office housekeeping form was created up here at the top. He can find that form down here at the bottom, click on that form, and then click on his edit pencil to make the edits. And then he can start answering the questions for his form. So were all the workstations clean and orderly? Yeah. Did we take care of the floors in the office? Yeah, those are good. All the restrooms are clean and stocked? No, they're not clean and stocked. And then I've got an area, did we clean up all the tools and materials? Are they put away? Yeah, that's all put away. Well, what actions did we take to correct any of these items? Well, we ordered supplies for the restroom. So easy spot for him to fill out, hey, we couldn't actually do this part of the job. Now, again, we're just doing a simple form. So I've got a spot for comments like, oh, someone forgot to order toilet paper or whatever. At this point, I can submit the form because the form is complete. Once I've clicked that I'm submitting the form, you will not be able to edit entries once they are submitted. Are you sure you want to submit this form? So since John's completed this form, I'm going to click OK, and I've got that form submitted. So it's basically done. If I hit my back button now, I should be able to just clear my cache. This is a great opportunity to explain that clear cache button. It just removes your browser history information and it forces your browser to go back to the server and get the most up-to-date info. Sometimes these widgets don't update right away because it's loading the history from our browser cache. So when I cleared that cache, now I can see that I've got my submitted form for office housekeeping from today that I had assigned to John. So pretty easy to work with when we're just trying to get in and create a general form for someone to use. Let's talk about populating our list and some of the other things that we can do inside of these forms. So I'm going to click on my company forms button again because I'm switching from the forms that I've already utilized to forms that I might need to use. And I'm going to click on my company forms button first. This is again showing me all the forms that I can use inside of my system now. But if I need something new, I may want to click on my all button and I can take a look at the templates of forms that we have down here. So I can jump in and I saw that we had a site form for housekeeping and we have an office form for housekeeping, but maybe I want to make a variation of something like a fire protection form or something like that. So if I've decided that this is the form I want to use, I'm going to come over to the right to the action button and I'm going to click to copy this form. When I do that, I'm going to move into the edit version of the forms and checklist page. So where I'm adding my new form, I can come in and I can adjust the status of the form. So it's either not ready to use, and in that case, I would set do not use, or published and ready to use. Pretty obvious that this one's good to go. I can come and give my form a name on the right. So if I want to switch this to office fire plan, um, or fire checklist, I can put that right there. And then I can give some notes about why we fill out this fire checklist form once a month. Pretty simple. If I want to, I can choose to include a signature on my form. So when it's getting submitted, I can have a signature come on this form as well. Now I can head down and I can see all the questions that are available on my form. I can change my header of my form. So if I want to switch this to the name of the form itself, I can clear that out, copy this, move it down here. So now this is the office fire checklist. Now I can check out all the questions that are involved with my fire checklist. Now these forms that you start out with in Contractor Foreman are pretty big. They're pretty advanced and they're also very general. So in a lot of cases, you might want to come in here and tweak some forms, edit some questions, things like that. Maybe outright remove a question. I can take that out. This is one I actually would want. If we've got fire sprinklers in the office, I want to make sure they're not damaged. So if we're inspecting everything, this is a question that I'd like. So let's keep that one. Let's see if there's one that's not really important. Are fire extinguishers mounted? Yeah, I'd love to have that question. Are we teaching people how to use our fire extinguishers? Yeah, all of these are looking pretty good. This is something that may not apply. We might not have shutter fusible links in place or anything like that. So we can go over to the X and remove that question. We'll talk more about constructing a form from scratch and utilizing all of these options over here on the right. But I wanted you to know that you can jump into any of these forms that are pre-populated for you and kind of edit them for your use a little bit more specific to yourself. Right. So now that I've got this form set up, I've removed some of the questions, changed them how I wanted to, I can click my Save and Close option. And now when I click on my company button here, I can see that my Office Fire checklist form is ready for me to go. And I can click on my Use Form button and get it assigned to one of my users, select it for my office again, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Let's back out of here. I want to show you, you can assign forms specific to jobs as well. So I've got my site housekeeping form. We're just going to build one of these really quick, and I'm going to assign it to, let's go ahead and put it on the demo 4.8 job. We can assign it to one of our users. No big deal here. And again, I'm going to leave it in my draft status. Now the form is ready to go. It's waiting on someone else to fill it out. When I click to save this form in here, I can now go to my projects area, click on demo. We'll go to my demo 4.8 job. And when I go into my documents area, I can see that that form is here waiting for me. I can view the form from here, and I can also click on this link that's going to open up the forms and checklist area in another tab, and I can jump in and start filling out this form if I needed to. So folks, you guys know what all these widgets are doing across the top of the screen here. We know how to start building out some general forms for us to utilize in Contractor Foreman. We know how to access the forms that we are pre-populated with, and we know what to do when we start to copy them in and set them up for our use. We're going to make a second video, a part 2, where we're going to go over building a form in its entirety from scratch, or a little bit more advanced versions of editing some of these forms. So be sure to check that out in part 2, and we'll see you over there. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.